Welcome to the Stanley Street Social Podcast. We're here in Freiburg, in Germany, with Cannondale. We're currently sitting here with what's your proper title called, David?
My title is product director for the pavement category at Cannondale.
Pavement category.
Pavement, yeah. and it's changed a bit. The whole gravel thing has made it so that we do make some bikes that go off road within our category. But yeah, it's called pavement.
So here with David Devine. When I was getting my emails, I was expecting someone that was going to be 50, 55. How old are you?
I just turned 30.
Yeah,
just turned 30.
Cool. So how long have you been in the bike industry?
I started 5 days after university, I think, here at Cannondale, actually.
Yeah.
So I've been with Cannondale now coming up on 8 years.
Yeah. And what's your background? What's the university?
So university probably not super useful for this job role. I grew up working in bike shops and selling bikes, racing as a junior. And then I went to school to become a history teacher. That quickly turned into political science so that I could graduate college. And then I started at the bike company as soon as I graduated. So political science, I guess.
And what's your role here with Cannondale? What is it? What's the day-to-day kind of jobs for you as a global product director?
Yeah, we have within our product management group, we've got a couple of product managers that I'm working with. And as a product manager, you are the person that works to define what the end result of the product's going to be. You work together with the entire development team of engineers, industrial designers, graphic designers. You interface with the sales team, with the marketing team, in the end with dealers, and then people like yourself to make sure that the things that we develop as experiences for riders make their way into the market and onto people's bike rides in kind of the way we intended and get used in a way that makes it really fun for the rider.
So you're just the link man between everything.
I'm a people person, damn it. Yeah. We have to figure out a way that we're kind of hurting everybody, but also trying to usher things along. And there's just so much support from all the other roles that. We get great experiences like this, and we're glad to be able to bring along some of the engineers and designers and things like that. Yeah.
So, what's the biggest challenge that you've faced so far
on this project, or the role in general?
Well, both on this project with the latest bike that we're here for, and also just in general with the company.
Yeah, I mean, in general, the road category has been changing a whole lot over the last year. So I started as junior road product manager, and that was in 2011, and the road market was still really traditional, and then the endurance category really started to grow, and disc brakes came in, and I think as an industry our moves were probably misunderstood in what our intentions were with disc brakes, and I think everybody ultimately just wants to make a better bike ride, and there's things in this kind of toolbox that we've put together as an industry that we think we can apply to make a better bike ride, but just I would say a changing road market or changing road development within a relatively conservative market has been a big challenge over the last couple of years. But now we see something like gravel bikes really start to develop, and we have a couple of audiences that we get to talk to. We get to talk to people who maybe have never ridden a road bike before, but then we also get to talk to an ingrained cyclist, and we're not doing a small change on something that they've known for the longest time, but instead offering them an entirely new experience. And so that's kind of how we're getting out of some of these challenges. Yeah.
What's been the focus of Cannondale over the last few years, specifically in the presentation this morning? You talked about kind of not steering away from the elite side of it, but more in the participation kind of space of the sport.
I think we're working to make sure that we don't come off as only a racing-oriented brand or pretentious or anything like that. I think we've been kind of this challenger brands, and I think our brand is built on that, whether it's Cipollini or Sagan in his early career. It's kind of this underdog that has good results, and we've taken that out of racing, but I think now then it's time to bring it to a wider audience and not ignore racing, but figure out how we can integrate bikes into people's everyday lives. And what I like to really focus on is I think a lot of people's association with bikes is from when they were a kid. So how can we inject that like moment of childhood into
Yeah,
your day
just
when you
having
get
fun
on two
on the
wheels?
bike.
Yeah.
I guess what's been the major focus area over the last few years? I guess you might have already answered that a little bit with the gravel and the
Yeah.
participation, but anything specifically perhaps in the road area?
Yeah, on a road side of things, we've been, if I'm being super frank, I think we've been rebuilding, and I'm coming into that position, and then we're learning what our strengths are and what can take us forward. And I think what you're going to see already in model year 20 is that we have basically an entirely new road line, and we're putting out, I think we're pacing faster than a lot of our competitors on putting out new products, but it's because we have this goal of being really clearly positioned, and the products that we offer be understandable and cover all those key categories in roads. So whether it's designing around tire clearance or rider position or anything like that, we want to make sure that our bikes are understood. So those challenges and what we've been focusing on, I think, is making sure that we've developed a road line that's cohesive, that we can push forward and evolve from.
And what's the vision, I guess, for the next 5 years for Cannondale?
I mean, I think what you've seen already today on digital and connected product and electronic integration and stuff like that, it's just the start. We are, I think, primed to push forward into that. I'm sure we poked the hive in a couple of other places with what we've introduced, but if you take a look at other aspects of your life, other industries already really pushed into this. If it's whether it's in your house with a dishwasher or a thermostat, or in your car with CarPlay, anything like that. The bike industry, I'm sitting in my seat. I'm a cyclist, but I'm not the customer, so I need to think about what that customer would be experiencing in other aspects of their life, and how we can improve either their ride experience or their ownership experience. And it could be seen as innovative. I think it's adaptive, but it's just being able to bring things that are accessible into a place that you didn't expect to find it.
Let's talk a little bit about the bike that we're here for, the SuperSix EVO. Actually, before we get onto that, let's talk a bit about the Cannondale app.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell the listeners what that is? And
Sure.
It's kind of, I look at it as kind of going back in time a little bit with the sensor on the on the hub, but I think it's a really cool idea. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that, the development, and what you're aiming to get out of it?
So I think one of the things that that you could pick out about Cannondale is that when we make something new or design something new, we're interested in being able to deliver that advantage across a whole spectrum of price points. And doing stuff just at the highest end, it's cool. It doesn't get me fully excited anymore. Like, I want to be able to make the cool, different things about Cannondale accessible to a broader audience of people. And so if we look at the wheel sensor, it's a great way where we can bring digital integration off a whole spectrum of products. I think I showed you this morning Treadwell, which my group is working on, and with that, we have a bike that comes in at $650 that has digital integration in it. You can mount your cell phone into the cockpit. But then I showed you also a $11,000 road race bike that has the same feature. And within that, we figured out what a customer or a rider's motivations would be behind having some of that stuff. So whether it's a better ownership experience or even just basic ride tracking, kind of figured out what some of those triggers are, and then made the product to address it. So, I mean, working with Garmin, we had to figure out kind of what we could improve upon that was already being offered, and how we could take what is a relatively basic feature into the future.
Yeah.
And some of that is just making it easier to use. So they've had a long history of having speed and cadence sensors. Typically, they need to be paired to a head unit. We took onboard storage and made it like something that's simple and you can just go riding. And for as many people as there are people that want to stare at a screen and know all the data instantly, there are people that want the data, but they don't want it in an obtrusive way. They want it in the background, and they want it on their own time and as their choice. And I think we've struck a balance with what we're offering on the app side and on the connected product side that we can do that.
Yeah. Let's talk about the bike.
Sure.
What was, what was your role in the bike development?
Yeah, so we're coming on 3 years here, and I work directly with the road product managers, and so I think my role is figuring out the strengths of the product that we offer now, what opportunities we could develop against, things that could be seen as either weaknesses with what we develop right now, or how the market's moving and how people's expectations are moving. And then also to set some goals against what we want to achieve with the time and money that we're going to use to develop, and then kind of work to shepherd that along the way. Like we've got some really skilled people with Nathan on aerodynamics and Jonathan on structure.
Yeah.
And then in the U.S. we've got industrial designers like Ian Sura and graphic designers like Ryan Chung that can take a product like that, and everybody does their part, and it winds up in a really good place. And so, yeah, my role is set some goals, and I'm lucky in that I don't think I have to push people very hard, because we've got a lot of people that are intrinsically motivated just to do better, and just shepherd the whole thing along.
So the main focuses of the bike was obviously aerodynamics and keeping it light at the same time.
I would say, taking a step back, we wanted to make a bike for the modern road rider, and I think you guys are coming out of a market where this is a perfect example. You've got a huge level of fashion-driven aesthetic feel, whether it's with cool clothing stuff, great group riding scene. Cycling is part of lifestyle, and it's not necessarily all about racing, but some people just want to ride fast. And you can be within this fast road culture and enjoy and occasionally take part in racing, or you can be a bike racer. And we wanted to make something that kind of fits for that person, where I think we've created a certain amount of capability within the bike that you can use it for a lot of things. And we've taken you out on a ride today that had even just a little bit of dirt, and the bike is capable of putting an even bigger tire in it and becoming more capable.
Yeah.
We've made the position a bit more neutral, and then the things that we can do on the technical side, weight, aerodynamics, all of that stuff. But I think the real focus is on making something for a modern race rider, and not burdening ourselves necessarily with all the characteristics that made us successful in the past, but figuring out what we think can make us successful in the future.
Did you develop this product with the pro team, or using some pro team riders and their input, or was this completely just a company development?
I mean, there's stuff that we take, and it's not necessarily, I wouldn't say like ambient, but we visit a couple times a year, and we have a liaison on the ground that is constantly relaying feedback in. So we have that as one of the touch points with the team. But then also we run test sessions with them. So in December this year in Girona, we ran a control bike, which was very similar to what they had today, very similar to what they raced today, plus 3 different laminate variations. So playing around with things like head tube stiffness, BV stiffness, fork side stiffness, and brought that to them, went through blind testing with 3 riders on the team. And from that, you get some really interesting results, like some stuff that you would expect and predict, and some stuff you wouldn't. But that directly helped us decide what we wanted to push play on for production. So we brought like 3 versions there that we could have said any one of those is what we want to press play on, and go forward into mass production, and we'll have bikes ready to sell in late June or July. And people like Hugh Carthy, Matty Breschel were directly involved in like, this bike turns in better. I like the responsiveness of this one. Weight was not super different between all of them, like 30 grams between the 3 high mod bikes that we gave. One we did as a control, we did a carbon level frame, so about 200 grams heavier. Yeah. And they preferred some aspects about that, which I think is interesting and kind of validates some of the stuff that we do on more of the opening prices. But yeah.
So as a consumer, why would I buy this product? Why would I buy the SuperSix EVO? What's the main thing that stands out?
The thing that really stands out to me is how much speed and integration you can get within a bike that embraces this balance between classic and modern. And I think one of the words that we put in the brief for this bike was timeless. And I like cars, and our industrial designers also look at cars and for design inspiration. And it's a great source for stuff like that. And if you think about like as a product person or even designer, the most iconic thing you could look at is a Porsche 911. It's gone through this constant iterative change for the last 50 years. And it stayed honest to itself and honest to its performance for the entire 50 years. And if you were to make a product that was as timeless as that, you'd be awful lucky. So I think we wanted to kind of bring some people along that had been subscribers or customers to the Evo brand for a long time, but then make some stuff that stands out, like how much faster it is, all within this relatively classic silhouette and proportion and design.
David Devine, thanks very much for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you.